frequently with upselling or cross-selling, overall, you're trying to increase customer engagement. Generally, the more engaged your customers are, the more they're going to purchase, the more higher revenue they are, as in higher customer lifetime. Now, customer lifetime, like it can break down between revenue, how much money they're actually bringing in, and also retention. So you might have customers who come in, buy a lot, and you never hear from them again. It's great initially, but ideally you want them to stick around. And some are more kind of loyal, but sort of smaller purchases over time. And so when you think about structuring your campaign, you want to think about, okay, what's the kind of the business priority for this particular product? Or if it's a cross sell, you're kind of going into like the why of the cross sell. Maybe part of it's business strategy in terms of we want our customers to buy at least 3 different products with us. And that might be because these customers tend to be more loyal. They're more kind of sticky as customers. The other side of the coin, especially if you're kind of retail and kind of grocery level, is just kind of average order size. You just really want large volumes of orders coming through. And that might be because it might be a seasonal aspect to it. You're only going to see your customers once every 3 months or in these kind of high peaks of activity. And so you want to make sure you're capturing the most out of your customers in that time. So kind of understanding that business context can really help you to define the outcomes overall to the business. So you can define it based on incremental revenue. So you look at, okay, you have, especially in an experimentation framework, if you can dedicate a chunk of customers who you don't contact, they're not part of your upsell or cross-sell campaign. They're just sort of normal customers, you kind of let them be. And then you have the other chunk that you are engaging with on the upsell or the cross-sell campaign. And I would generally advise that you look at one metric. And for most of the time, that's going to be either order size or just total revenue. If it's kind of a longer campaign, maybe you run it over a month or 2 months. And you want to see how much more, if it's cross-sell, they order in terms of related products. Or if it's upsell, how many of them converted to this kind of premium offering. And maybe that means that overall they pay, $20 a month more because it's a subscription plan, for example. And so comparing on that primary metric is overall your success of the campaign. That's kind of you as a marketer, as an operator, you're looking at that primary metric and you're saying, was it successful or not between the group that you engaged with on a campaign and the group that you left alone. If the two groups look almost the same, then your campaign on the primary metric level, it didn't work out. So you kind of need to experiment with, maybe it's your content, maybe it's your timing, something's kind of missing there. And then you might want to define a couple other metrics that are kind of broadly important to the business. Those would be, if you run a great campaign and you see an improvement in that primary metric, maybe it's, total revenue, maybe it's how many people subscribe to your premium offering. The other metrics are kind of secondary, and there might be things like customer retention. So you look at 1 month out, 3 months out, how many of them have stuck around? They're still active customers, however your business defines that. So that'd be on the customer retention side. And on the other side, other secondary metrics might be things like, if it's an upsell, you might look at, okay, did they overall engage more with our brand? If they're visiting your website more, if maybe they're opening your emails more, or it might be other related kind of broadly revenue aspects. So if they're a premium customer, do they have a generally higher lifetime value for us? Or maybe it's like, did they review us more positively if you're looking at net promoter score? So those are your secondary metrics that should be important from a overall business perspective. If you're at the C-suite, chief marketing officer, or your CEO is thinking about those secondary metrics, because those are sort of important leading indicators of overall your customers are happy and things are trending in a positive direction. And so if you have a successful campaign, also take a look at those secondary metrics and make sure those are moving in a positive trend. And then you can kind of wrap that up into a really appealing package, if all goes well, And you're able to say, we ran this campaign, we were primarily focusing on this metric, if it's upsell or cross-sell related. And then you can kind of quantify the difference in terms of the effect that your campaign had. Especially in an experimentation framework, you can say statistically, like, this was our confidence that our intervention, our campaign, had this effect. And then you can also say there are other related benefits to running these campaigns in terms of these secondary metrics on general customer behavior. And if with all those things aligned, you can make a really convincing case that this is a really important campaign, an important effort to kind of help increase customer engagement, the kind of overall sort of goal of any kind of marketer within their business.